Alright, there we go. We're taking a few questions. So we're answering a couple of y'all's questions that you had, and I seen a video the other day, and I seen a guy. He had a whole room full of people, and he was trying to confront. He's trying to confront these atheists, and for whatever reason, I don't know that if you walk into something like that, if you're always going to become full prepared with people, because I could come, you could ask me a question, and from a biblical standpoint, I can dodge around it or not, or not. But the fact is that they're acting like basically whatever side's gonna win is gonna be the most astounding answer, gives the most phenomenal reasons for life and the stars and for everything, for the universe. So they want you to have that right there. So for some reason people aren't really armed, so they're asking a question. They said to the guy, they asked him how come it was Jesus' story was in Greek mythology. Well, the guy didn't know to go back and to say that basically what I believe is, I believe that there was a, there's a after death concept there of Christ after death, and then there's a there's a concept of what you say BC. They always say before Christ, and then they say 80 after death. So I believe that there was in religious um, practices before Christ came, because after Christ came, the focus changed. So the devil knows that there's a lot of different ways that he can change people's focus and take them off of their focus and from their religious standpoint. And anyways, the idea of BC might have more, there might be more of an impact reason for them saying BC, not like Christians own the whole world or universe or anything in time from when Christ came, and that's how we measure time, and I guess it is. But precisely the BC part was because Christ was discussed before all that. And I'm pretty sure, um, I'm saying, the one with the smartest answer, and I'm saying pretty sure, so now people are going to try to knock me for that. But I was always taught that Isaac, when Abraham was going to, and they'll bash the Bible too about about God telling him to go kill his son as a sacrifice, but he was testing the man. He wasn't. Um, it says he wasn't ever going to have somebody use a person as a sacrifice like that. God was not. So the story that goes behind the story of Isaac. Isaac was the spitting blood of the Messiah. So they always knew that a prophet or Messiah, a king, a son of God, was going to come back to the earth. So the gentleman wanted to know the answer to that. Well, there you go. So everything that basically I believe could have been um, used by um, them to make up their, like they have here recently too, as like they were talking about King Solomon summoning demons and stuff like that. It's a distraction, and it's to fool everybody, because really seriously there's only two sides, and everybody will have to serve either God or the devil. And um I believe that all of everything will be pointed out to everybody. Everybody will still have a side or whatever fence that they can fall on, that they're going to be forced to fall on one way or another because of the conditions of the earth. Um, I believe that everything is going to be forth-telling to everybody. I believe that all the mysteries and everything in the world are just about, I mean, as many as they are, will be explained um, when during, I would guess, during the tribulation times, I would guess. So people won't be having the same questions about mythology and all this other stuff. They'll have one answer or another that they'll go with. They'll have a sound, strong answer and evidence for their evolution and for everything else, but they're still gonna have a basic basis where they fall either for God or the devil. There, that's strange phenomenon that I believe from the Bible. So we take life serious. We don't take life for a joke. We joke and we play. We have fun. We enjoy ourselves and have a good time. But we live in the spirit, and we take our soul and everything serious over here. So we conduct ourselves the best that we can as a Christian should. So I, when I show my ass, my butt, sorry about that, but when I do, um, I have to do my own repenting and stuff my own self. Nobody else can make me do that, and I can't make anybody else do anything their own self either. And I'm not the type of person really that is eager in trying to persuade people to something I would think is, I'm not forcing it for one, but really it's just my opinion basically, and it comes from a biblical standpoint. Also helps to also reinforce my belief and why I have a belief in Christianity. So we believe in the BC um, process. Before Christ, they preached a prophet was going to come, prophesied, and he would live in the flesh. So Greek mythology would have took that. In our opinion, we would have said that Satan himself, the devil, archangel, another phenomenon that we're talking about, and the more we get into this stuff, the more stranger it gets. The alien, or sorry, the angel, um, basically, the archangels that were cast out of heaven, they went around the earth, from what I believe, and they caused great deception. And they've always planned with this great deception. They had this date back, and then you wonder how people can actually come up with the way that they measure time and dating and stuff. It's pretty impressive the way that they do it. Um, but like I said, there's going to be a point in time when everything is explained and everybody, before the explanation and people are given total peace, or they're cast in the lake of fire, I would guess, for being with Satan's army, for basically aligning with him while you're on earth. So we're talking about in the flesh. We wanted to talk about the difference between hell and purgatory. Purgatory is a place. There were remember in the Bible where it talks about the poor guy with sores he sat there, and the rich man walked by and flicked the guy garbage. Even he didn't just kind of spit on the guy and throw his crap, whatever scraps, at the guy and then laugh. um, he would make fun of the guy too. So the man with the sores, evidently was in purgatory. So purgatory meaning like, they talk about people who, oh well, he lived a good life and he didn't have Christ, and he went to hell. Well, no, they go to a place called purgatory. The evil guy, the evil rich guy who flicked him garbage and who had what you would say some people would call karma, the bad karma, he went to hell. And he was sitting there and he asked the guy with the sores, that was when they were alive, both alive, they're both deceased at this point. But he asked the guy who was sick and lame on the ground, who he wouldn't even give, to the time of day for, except to mock and to make fun of this guy, was begging for a drop of water, and is actually in that story, he had to have been in a position where he uh, knew the Father, knew God, had a relationship with him, because he asked somebody there in the story, from what I remember, he asked about this rich man that was in hell now, that was just a soul that was suffering forever now, for eternity, for transgressions, for his sins, for the things that he had done against other human beings. So that's where Jesus Christ comes off like, kind of like Gandhi again. He's like almost like that guy, but a different religion. So he was really, besides a couple of different uh, instances that happened with Jesus here, he and his crucifixion, he was a very peaceful man. And through his crucifixion, he showed true, uh, I'd say, his true spirit at heart, because I know that he was alive, and there's a fact that he was here, and that he rose from the dead, that they tried to hide it. And while he was being crucified and tortured all the way to where they hung him up on his cross, he was preaching to everybody until the last minute that he died, in his last breath. He was that adamant about everybody's soul, and everybody who's the true light in the way. And he didn't stop preaching to anybody until the moment he died. So he would have transferred into, when he died, his soul would have went straight into hell, preaching just like that, right into purgatory. Purgatory. So I don't know that there's a difference between damned people before Christ came and he couldn't talk to them, but from what I understand, he went to hell and talked to the people in hell. And purgatory is a different place than hell. They're not the same. Purgatory. We're going to talk about purgatory a little bit. And there you have it. Oh, I was just going to ask, does anybody ever go to your Bible daily, or whenever you do, and just open it up and start reading and see if just what you randomly open up and read has anything to do with your daily life, or anything that you have a question about? Have you ever tried doing that? I did that a couple different times before. Um, Here, I want to talk about immortality. Immortality is another phenomenon. So, I am trying to reach my own phenomenon type through Christ because the Bible, right here, it says anything is possible through Christ. So, I want to not ever die, and I want to live forever and have and reach immortality. Because see, the way that a lot of what people are teaching in other religions is that you are either reincarnated or some way carnated, right? Other than the way like the Bible would describe. The Bible says that reincarnation doesn't happen. So we would think that those people go to purgatory or hell, but you you either die in the flesh or you live forever in the flesh if you are a believer. And the Bible also says that believers, once you become a believer and you're saved through Christ, that you are bound to him. So that's why I do believe here, in my opinion, that Christians, when they do wrong, like everybody else, or whatever they get caught up in, they go to prison for all I know. But the thing about it is they are um, being continually kind of tortured by God, or God throws stuff at them. He does not throw them into hell. He might put them in purgatory and make them wait. For whatever reason, the Bible dictates to that, but we all have to be dictated to one good side or evil side, one way or another. So people can try and say that they have both, but I think that if you try to have a little bit of bad in there, it's really hard to keep bad from getting out of control. So anyways, we believe that people go through a physical death and then a spiritual death. If they do not have a where through Christ, through being a believer, they do not um, find and accept Christ, they're going to um, come back resurrected. The same body, but it'll be different. It says we're given different bodies, but it's still the same body, but it's different because it's all renewed and back to working order. So the last thing I wanted to say here was for people, I've talked to people, certain people that were faithful. They went to church before. And like me, I quit going to church. But I didn't quit being faithful or believing. So I still, I'm not going to be bent on that. And I'm not going to deny Christ. Um, so I've already made that a determination, well, long ago. So I'm not going to let a human being, another person from inside whatever church or whatever situation happens, whatever man tells me, that's not between you and Christ. That's not between me and Christ. So I want to win people over for my words and make people be true believers, not be a dictator, not dictate to the way people think. But it makes me really believe and kind of wonder how much um, of a problem, human problem, that is not a religious or supernatural problem with the person in the church and Christ himself. There's also other things that plague human beings and even me and everybody else. Even though I said I wouldn't sway to Christ, I'll always be a believer in him now, confirmed. I still can be attacked by the devil. So I have to be on my guard and be prepared. So let's not be hasty. and let's not be bitter. I am trying to figure out a way to not be such a bitter human being. So, not to lash out at people. I mean, it really does make you look like an ass. It really does. It makes you look like a jackass whenever you say mean things to people and you turn them away and you don't say the right things that are appropriate to connect with people in the bond and have a relationship. So I believe it was Peter. Peter asked Jesus, man, he said, how many times do I forgive my neighbor? Jesus said, he said, do I forgive him 7 times? See, I just have this just written down like that. I just added it up. Because I have horrible math. I have the worst math. The aliens, if they try to come and get my help, they'd probably shoot me because of my math skills are that off. It would be a Lord mystery from God above if I ever became a math wizard magician. Then you would know something funny is really going on at that point. If my math took off for some reason. It did before when I was 12 years old. I did algebra. I was really good at it, but I got disconnected. So don't get disconnected from God. Lock in there. And if you're a believer, right, believe what you will. So he said to Peter, not 7 times. It's 7 times, 777 times, I believe, is what he said. And I'm just quoting because I've said it over and over again a couple times, at least 4 times in my life. I've talked about this, so I believe it was 777 times 7 is what Christ said, and we talk about Christ in particular here and believe what he said in particular, not just the Bible, but we look at what Christ said in particular and follow him and his lead in what he says and honor that completely. So it's 4,439 times, but 4,439. The answer that Jesus gave him right there was like kind of like a proclamation. Is that right? Let me look that up real quick. I mean that it means a proclamation. It means that there is no end to forgiving your neighbor. There is no end to forgiving other people. So the right message has been definitely been told wrong, that we're supposed to go and slay our Arab Muslim terrorist enemies. We must fight them, yes, and keep them from killing us, but at the same time we must orchestrate and think. And other way to conquer them is to convert as many of them to us, because our religion anyways is the closest thing that they have to their own, besides um, killing people like barbarians. Because when Jesus Christ came here, that represented the end of barbarianism, and you won't hear in the Bible or any time after that, after Christ came, that the Christians went and took somebody, and every other Christian in the world believed that God said for them to go and take somebody out and stone the person or hang them or whatever else, unless maybe it was done by maybe a town and they put the person up, to see, like you would do in the justice system today. So we'd see the same things like the justice system you'd see today in Christian cultures and societies after Christ, because it also represented that he died for our sins and suffered for all of our sins at the same time when he died, so that we can put the sacrifice, the lamb, and the blood on the door and all that in the Sabbath to rest. That's why if somebody does a Sabbath type of thing or any kind of rituals like that today, it's not a Christian practice. Proclamation, a public or official announcement, especially one dealing with a matter of great importance. Okay, so we were reading somebody's passageway. It was pretty intense on marriage and not to fornicate and go out and have adultery or unmarried sex. Just it made a lot of sense. So we're looking at that also right now with my own self. Saying, looking at that in the world and how everything is. I'm getting a little bit restless here. That's basically all I have written down that I wanted to add. So I'll let everybody go with that. There's your video upload for our strange phenomenon talk with Chris Kalam. Thanks.